mum's lounge room. See, I live in a little 1-bedroom apartment, and Australia started to sort of lock down, and I thought, right, I can stay in my 1-bedroom apartment in the city, or I can go to the countryside where my mum lives, and she's got a big backyard and she's got a dog, and it's just much nicer, to be honest. So it's not a bad move. Cool. All right, we're live streaming on YouTube. That's cool. And let me go back here. Susan, no, I can't see you. So this is like a webinar. So you can see me, you can hear me. I can just see the chat. So if you are in the Zoom live class here, please just use the chat box. I'll do my best to answer your questions as we go along. But really, this one's going to be about you practicing. Okay, so let me share my screen. And I hope you're all well. I hope you've got a cup of tea, and hope you've had something to eat for breakfast or lunch or dinner, whatever it is in your part of the world. Let me just move my little drawing tool down here. We can skip this, and let me do that. Cool, and we can get started. Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you. I hope you're doing okay. Yes, the world's a funny place right now, isn't it? Very bizarre. And I'll tell you what is even funnier is, so I'm in my mum's lounge room. She's got great internet. She's got this, like, she doesn't really even know how to use the computer, but she's got great internet. Anyway, 10 minutes ago, the internet just decided to die before this live mock test, as it does. Then my keyboard decided to die as well. And with 1 minute left, I managed to get the internet back up and running. Life's a bit funny like that. Sometimes it just gives you a little test. You know what I mean? And you get a little bit complacent, and then the universe goes, right, let's test him. Anyway, so I think I beat the universe then, which is good. What are we going to do today? All right, we're going to do a PT mini mock test, actually. We're going to take you through a whole PT test. Obviously, we're not going to do the whole thing for 3 hours. We're just going to do one question from each of the 20 tasks. So we're going to look at speaking, writing, reading, listening. We won't write an essay. That's the only task that we actually won't do, but I will show you a sample essay. Let's get straight to it. This is going to be quite a long one. It will go for about 90 minutes. So I'm going to do it pretty efficiently. We're going to start with speaking. We're going to start with read aloud. I'm going to tell you what you're about to see, and then I just want you to do it. By the way, I should mention, if you've been to one of these live mock tests before, you may have seen this content already, in which case you should go to e2language.com, sign up for free, and start doing the free practice questions there. Okay, if you haven't been to one of these before and you haven't seen this content, that's great. The level of difficulty of the content I'm about to show you will be akin or similar to that of the actual PTE test. Cool, enough aside, let's do this. So, speaking read aloud, what's going to happen? This is the first task of PTE, the first task of the speaking section. You're going to see a paragraph of text in front of you. You'll have 35 seconds to prepare to read it. Then you'll get to read it again, and you'll get another 35 seconds, in which time you have to read it properly because you're going to be recorded. Okay, let's go. I'm going to disappear. Get ready to do this, guys. Where's my little timer? Here. There you go. Okay, now read properly, starting now. Cool. So congratulations, you've done the first task. That's pretty straightforward, right? You just have to read a paragraph of text. Well, in order to maximize your score here, you need to read it in a certain way. You need to read it with obviously clear pronunciation. Okay, you want to make sure that the sounds you're making are native-like sounds. So if you do have any interference from your first language, you need to be conscious of that. Okay, are there any sounds in English which you can't make because in your first language you just don't have those sounds, like vowel sounds, for example? Or there might be consonant clusters. If we take a look here, like the sound li, or what have we got? Pr, or j, or any of these sorts of sounds here. These might be particularly difficult for you. So you need to be able to identify which sounds you're struggling with, practice them, make sure you can say them clearly. Second thing you need to be conscious of here is oral fluency, okay? When we talk about fluency, people often think it's just like the rate of speed that you speak at, but that's not it. There's lots of different elements that go into a well-spoken paragraph. For example, pausing is really important. Connected speech is really important. That is, the particular, sometimes words sort of join together with other words, and that sounds natural and fluent. You don't want to read this like a robot. That sounds weird. Also, you have things like sentence stress. Which word within the sentence will you put stress on to make meaning? Other things will include word stress. I can't think of any more. Anyway, let me do a quick little read through for you. This is hopefully a good reading. What I would do is sort of get a bit pumped up. I use my hands when I read, by the way, so I can express more meaning. Beatboxing is a musical art form mainly associated with contemporary hip-hop culture, in which performers use their vocal tract, mouth, lips, and tongue to create percussive sounds. Sometimes, individual beatboxers perform as part of an ensemble, providing beats for other musicians, but often they perform alone, singing and beatboxing simultaneously. That's not a bad effort. That's sort of what you want to aim to be doing. That sort of pace, that tempo, that pausing, that rhythm, etc. Cool. Next up, by the way, you can pop your questions into the chat. That's cool. What I'll do is at the end of each section, I will answer questions on that section. Okay. So at the final speaking one, I'll try and answer some questions on the speaking section. Let's do repeat sentence, the second task from PT Speaking. What's going to happen is you're going to hear a single sentence. Okay. The sentence will have about sort of 12 to 15 words. It'll usually be about 3 phrases. You're going to listen very carefully. Then you're going to repeat the sentence back exactly as it was said. Try to copy the same intonation and rhythm of the speaker as well. Don't just blurt it out or mumble it out. Try to be clear when you say the sentence. Here we go. 3, 2.
There are a number of reasons why a result is not returned.
Okay, how did you go? Let me do it one more time.
There are a number of reasons why a result is not returned.
Let's have a look at the.
There are a number.
Hopefully you repeated this sentence here. There are a number of reasons why a result is not returned. There are a number of reasons why a result is not returned. You can hear how native English speakers sort of blend their words together into a big mash. Okay, why a result, why a result, why a result, why a result. It sounds like wire result or something. Very strange. Anyway, you need to sort of try to copy not the speaker's accent. You can use your accent, that's fine. But the way that the speaker delivered that sentence, try to repeat it in the same fashion there. Cool. How are you going so far? Let me just check the chat to make sure everybody's cool. Oh. Did I say? Anyway, I may have got one of the words wrong in read aloud. If I did, I would lose a point. If you change one of the words in read aloud, you lose a point. And I missed an A, did I? Well, I would lose 2 points. There you go. Cool. All right, let's do the third task of the speaking section. This one is called describe image. This is where it gets a little bit more challenging because no longer are you reading something off the screen or repeating something that somebody said. This time you're actually thinking on your feet and speaking spontaneously. Okay, what's going to happen is you're going to see an image on the screen. This image might be a graph or a Venn diagram or a pyramid or something that's going to contain information. You'll have 25 seconds to analyze that image, okay, to look at it, to understand it, to know what's going on within that image. After the 25 seconds is up, you will then have 40 seconds to describe that image. You don't have to speak for the full 40 seconds, but you should try to speak for at least 30 seconds, okay? Some of you might find this particularly challenging. Those of you who are E2 language students and know the E2 language method or structure, you'll find this one hopefully a lot simpler. All right, ready? Your 25 seconds starts now. Okay, start describing the graph now. Okay, how did you go there? I'm going to attempt this, so let me go back here. All right, here we go. This graph represents the cumulative podcasts listed on iTunes in the United States between June 2007 and June 2015. As we can see, there's an overall rise in the number of podcasts, both active and inactive. There is especially more active and inactive podcasts compared to active podcasts. In fact, there are over 200,000 active and inactive podcasts compared to active podcasts. Overall, there are just over 50,000 active podcasts. As we can see, there are a lot of podcasts. That was fine. Wasn't great. Wasn't the best description of a graph that I've ever given, but there you go. That's what you can sort of expect. If you're only given 25 seconds to analyze something, they don't expect you to be able to describe it in detail and talk about the y-axis and particular curvatures and logarithmic blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. It's basically just a very basic description of the graph. So please don't get stuck in details. You just want to be looking at overall trends here. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind and try not to trip over your own language. That's about as best you can do. But there you go. What I did do there was actually use the E2 language structure, which does make it a lot easier to describe any graph you see. Okie dokie. We're now on to the fourth speaking task of PTE called Retell Lecture. What's going to happen is you're going to hear an excerpt of a lecture or an interview, okay? That little lecture or that little interview, that little part of the lecture or interview will go for between 60 and 90 seconds, so it's not long. Now, you're going to need a paper and a pen to do this, and in the PTE test, you get paper and a pen, okay? And without paper and a pen, this task, along with a couple of others, are virtually impossible, okay? So please, if you don't have paper and pen next to you, quickly run and grab one. I'll keep waffling for a little bit, and then we'll be able to do this. What you need to do, while that little lecture or that interview is playing, you need to take down as many notes as you possibly can. You need to be paying careful attention to what is being said, and you need to be sort of translating that into very simple note form down here, okay? Because what you're going to do after the lecture or interview is finished is you're going to turn this into a little summary that you'll say, okay? And again, the E2 language structure or framework here is particularly helpful. Cool, so in terms of timing, you get the lecture, 60 to 90 seconds, then you get 10 seconds to prepare, which isn't very long. 10 seconds, you'll just be sort of looking at your notes, remembering what was said. After the 10 seconds, you speak for You can speak up to 40 seconds, but we recommend just over 30 seconds is fine. Okie dokie, good luck. Get ready to take good notes and lots of them. Give you a little bit of time to look at the picture and to guess what the lecture's about. I think on test day, you get 7 seconds to do that. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now, we know that the success of driverless cars is dependent upon the science of artificial intelligence and visual recognition. But what we also know is that visual recognition by machines has some way to go. There are sophisticated considerations which we as humans employ without a second thought, such as separating an object from its background, knowing when an object ends, or recognizing an object partially obscured. In terms of autonomous vehicles, this begs the question, what happens when a driverless car approaches a stop sign that has been sprayed with graffiti? Does the car stop? Now, Philip, you have similar doubts about robots, especially regarding how they can perceive objects.
Well, these systems have gotten quite a bit better at recognizing objects, and in certain standardized tests, they can classify images about as well as humans do. But when it comes to shape, there are major deficits. To give a simple example, imagine you have a glass horse ornament on your desk. As humans, we know it's a horse from the shape. A computer, however, will say it's a hook or a corkscrew. It doesn't recognize horse just from the shape.
And this clearly has profound implications when it comes to driverless vehicles.
Indeed.
Okay,
now we know that...
Sorry, you have 10 seconds to prepare. And 40 seconds now to speak. Oakley dokley, how's that? Few things to keep in mind here with this particular task. One, it's challenging. Don't be hard on yourself if you didn't do particularly well. It does require practice. So you're being scored on 3 things. You're being scored firstly on content. That means that you're using keywords, key phrases, key ideas from the lecture. That's why your notes and your memory are critical to this. Okay, so you need to be talking about what was said. Just bear in mind that sometimes the lectures you get on test day can be really challenging, like really obscure or abstract. And again, that's why notes are so important, because you can't possibly remember the lecture about particle physics that you just heard. But as long as you have enough notes, you can put something together that's on topic, which is good. Second thing that you're scored on is pronunciation, how clearly you are articulating yourself, how clearly you speak, okay? So again, try not to mumble. Also, don't speak too quickly. When people get nervous, they often try not to do that. Pronunciation also encompasses word stress. If you're not familiar with that, you may want to have a look at that, because that can be a first language interference issue. The third thing, excuse me, the third thing again is oral fluency. That is how well you're delivering your speech, okay, in terms of the rate of speech, in terms of pausing, in terms of connections, connected speech. The way that you can think about fluency is rhythm. Try to speak with a nice tempo and a nice rhythm. Cool, but yeah, all of that's pretty tough stuff. By the way, here is the transcript of that lecture, okay? I'm going to take you through this because it's quite interesting. It's quite an interesting way to think about language and think about vocabulary and complexity. So, whoops, sorry, my keyboard is terrible. I bought a cheap keyboard. Okay, so here is the lecture that you just heard. Now, we know that the success of driverless cars is dependent upon the science of artificial intelligence. If we look over here at the complexity chart, we can say that, or we can see rather, that this light orange color, these ones are easy words, right? You know these words. Now we know that. You know all of these words. These are dead simple. But then as you go down and it gets darker, you can see more complex words like dependent, artificial, for some reason humans, background, obscured, happens, graffiti. These are less common, more complex words. And overall from this transcript, you can see that most of the words are simple, which is good. But then you've also got like a bunch of really complex words. These are because it's based on a particular topic. And here we're talking about driverless cars or artificial intelligence. So words like perceive, objects, recognize, classify, deficits, implications, these relate to that particular topic. Cool. Now, if you do want some feedback on your speaking or on your writing, our E2 language experts actually provide that to you. But maybe don't use this code because I've got a better code for you. I'm just going to have to tell it to you. Might want to write this down. We've got a new campaign happening. It gives you $15 off any package, including the Express, which is great. It's pretty inexpensive. The code that you enter into the payment gateway when you're signing up is Better Together 15. Better Together 15. Might want to write that down. Better Together 15, one word, and it will reduce the price of any E2 language package by $15, which is good. Cool. I'll mention that later on, but Better Together 15. All right. This is the final task of the PT speaking section. It's called Answer Short Question. It's very straightforward. You're going to hear a question. You need to answer in a single word or a short phrase, but usually a single word. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
What do you call two lines that run side by side but never meet?
Cool. Got it? If you haven't got it by now, it's too late. The microphone will close and we'll go to the next one. The answer to that one is, what do you call two lines that run side by side but never meet? And the answer is parallel. Luckily, you don't have to spell that. That's one of those words that I never spell correctly, along with unnecessary and bureaucracy. I can't spell those 3 words. Cool. Parallel. So that's that one. That's actually a real question from the PT that I got and will now probably be redundant because it's now on YouTube. All right. I'm going to stop here and we're going to just talk about, you're going to ask me some questions if you like about speaking. Okay, so Simran Pal says, does that mean that we are not allowed to use ums and ahs or a complete no-no? No, it's actually fine to and ah. They don't expect you to speak perfectly, right? There is some, how can I say this? There's some leeway built into the system that allows you to sort of and ah a little bit because that's perfectly natural. That's a perfectly natural part of speech. If you and ah too much, however, if you're sitting there going, yeah, the speaker, that's not good, okay? But try to be conscious of it and try to reduce it if you can. Deval says, having the second speaker in the lecture makes it somewhat more difficult to tell. I mean, the transition phase from the first to second speaker. Yeah, I agree with that. You have to sort of say, you know, the first speaker was discussing blah, 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 blah. Then the next speaker said da, 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 da. Okay, hopefully. Okay, Peeman says, or the question here is about how many notes should I take in retail lecture? I think as many as you possibly can. What I do when I do this is as I'm listening, I'm just writing down as much as I possibly can. Now, I'm not writing full sentences. I'm writing single words, little symbols, whatever it is that will sort of jog my memory of what this lecture was about. And then I usually have a big chunk here of just messy symbols and messy words, and I can sort of do my best using my memory and my notes. Another question is, I only spoke for 26 seconds. Is it okay? You should really be speaking for 30. I mean, I don't know. Nobody knows definitively what the scoring system, how it works. But I believe about 30 seconds minimum. Okay. Cool. All right. What else have we got? Oh, someone's got a question about answer short question. Should we say the answer? I don't understand that question. You just need to say the answer once. Archana, is the feedback provided by E2 language from the mock test or the practice test? We've got two things. We've got a mock test that's different. I'll talk about that later. These are done actually through the content on the platform. Okay, Shuchita says, Jay, on test day, do you think we're going to be distracted by the other people speaking in the room? I don't know. This happens in society. Think about when you're on the train and you're talking to your friend on the train, having a conversation. There's people talking all around you. It's what we do naturally anyway. So just treat it like a typical social sort of situation. Daval, do we need to get the topic 100% correct in retail lecture, or can we be slightly off topic? You can be slightly off topic. As I mentioned, some of the lectures are really quite complex. One of them I remember on test day was about kinetic energy physics. And I was like, what the hell is this about? But I managed to take good notes, and I got 90. So, and I'm pretty sure I didn't speak perfectly on topic. All right, cool. That's enough questions there. And if you're on YouTube, you're better off coming into e2language.com and joining these live classes through the platform, because you get much more attention from the teachers. Plus, we have live classes that are free throughout the week as well. And if you're stuck at home, now is a perfect time to brush up on your general English skills and improve your PTE skills. Okay, we're into the writing section. This is called Summarize Written Text. It's the first task. I'll talk you through it here. So what you're going to see here is a big chunk of text. Okay, I think this can be up to 300 words, so it could be very quite long. You're going to get 10 minutes per summarized written text. What you need to do is you need to read this very carefully. Okay, you need to understand what it is you're reading. Then what you're going to do is you're going to turn this into a single sentence, one sentence, a one sentence summary of this 300 words, okay? So obviously you're going to have to discard or get rid of or delete or not include lots of information. But more importantly, you are going to include just the critical bits of information, okay? There's going to be a central idea and a couple of supplementary ideas as well. You're going to have to write a complex sentence, in other words. Cool, let's give it a crack. Now, I'm not going to give you 10 minutes, I'm just going to give you 5 minutes. This is the timer down here. You'll see it start to go yellow. Wait, okay. Now, let me just remind you that I only gave you 5 minutes to do this task. In the actual test, you'll have 10 full minutes, and you should use all of those minutes because those minutes don't carry over if you do finish early. So you just get 10 minutes, use them all, move on to the next one, which is another 10 minutes if you do have another one. Now, one sentence has popped up here, which I think is a really good summary. I'm going to change it slightly because there are a few little grammatical errors, but overall it's good content. It's from Lorraine. It says, research shows that sleep deprivation will negatively affect students' academic performance by impairing memory and concentration during final exams. What was I going to say? I was going to change it slowly. Research shows that sleep deprivation will negatively affect students' academic performance by impairing memory and concentration during final exams, and recommends that students should get 8 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Okay, I had to change it a little bit, but that's a pretty good overall summary. It's pretty close to this one here. Let's read this. After much research, Dr. Tom Morty recommends that students sleep for at least 8 hours before an exam in order to increase their ability to concentrate and remember, which are critical factors for academic and exam success. Okay, that's 37 words. Now, the word count that they recommend, or the minimum and maximum, is 5 to 75 words. You do not need to write 75 words. In fact, it's pretty much impossible to write a grammatical sentence that is 75 words. We recommend about 30 to 35 words. That's enough to get a good summary or the main idea, plus a couple of sub factors or sub ideas. There we go. My keyboard just died again. It will continue to do that. Cool. Well done. Okay, what we're going to do now is just discuss writing right essay. I'm not going to get you to write an essay. In the real exam, you may have to write 1 or 2 essays. Each essay will go for 20 minutes. The word count is between 200 and 300 words. The type of essay that you have to write is a persuasive or argumentative essay. Now, the key for this task is knowing a good structure. Okay, if you know how to structure up an essay, if you know how to structure an introduction, a body paragraph, and a conclusion, your life will be much better. You're going to get a much better score. If you don't know how to structure an essay and you're going to go into the exam just thinking, oh, it should be okay, I should be right, I wouldn't recommend that. Really, I really think you need to practice writing at least one. Even if your English is perfect, even if you're a native speaker, you still need to know how to structure an essay or you might run into problems. Anyway, this is what it looks like on test day. This is what the interface looks like. There'll be some sort of, it's always argumentative. So you're going to get something that's sort of socially controversial, okay? That will have 2 sides of the argument. This one says, preparing for an English exam online is more effective than preparing in a traditional school. Discuss the extent to which you agree or disagree with this statement. Okay, so you're going to get something like that. There are all sorts of different topics. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm just going to talk you through, let me just move the chat box here. I'm just going to talk you through this one here. Okay, behind this high scoring essay is a great structure. Let me just read out the introduction to you. English examinations are notoriously difficult. Full stop. Many candidates not only fail on their first attempt, but some continue to fail multiple times. Full stop. There are 2 main ways to prepare, full stop. You can prepare in a school or you can prepare online, full stop. This essay will argue that online preparation is a far better choice for candidates who wish to succeed faster, okay? There is a great introduction. It starts broadly and then it starts to drill down to the precise topic of the essay. Let's have a look at paragraph number 1. While there are a number of issues that students face when preparing for their English language tests in schools, the main one is a lack of personalized learning. In a classroom, there can be up to 30 students studying at once. This means that the teacher spends very little time focusing on the students' weak areas. Research suggests that teacher-to-student time in a classroom can be as little as 2 minutes. Clearly, this is an insufficient amount of time to address particular student areas if one wishes to be successful. Again, behind this paragraph, this really well-written, well-structured paragraph is the structure. I'll skip this one here and I'll go down to the conclusion. Overall, it is clear that preparing for an English exam online is a superior experience in terms of personalized learning and convenience. If I were you, I would consider preparing with E2 language. That's just a little bit of trickery there from me, but cool. Anyway, use the E2 language structure. Your life will be much, much better. I can't think of anything else. Don't write in capital letters. Leave a gap between your paragraphs. Write between 200 and 300 words. This one's 258 words. That's fine. It could be 201 words. That's fine. Could be 299. That's also fine. 199 and 301 are problematic. Cool. Here's how you're scored on the essay for your interest. So you're scored on content, which is the topic. Did you write on topic? Okay. If you fail to write on topic, if you memorize an essay and write the wrong essay, you will get 0 for everything. Okay. The computer's smart. If you write your essay in capital letters, you will get 0 for everything. Next thing you're scored on is development, structure, and coherence. That's the E2 language structure right there. Length, if you wrote between 200 to 300 words, you'll get top marks. General linguistic range is your ability to express yourself precisely with grammar and vocabulary. Then you have grammar accuracy, 0, 1, or 2 points, vocabulary range, 0, 1, or 2 points, and spelling. Cool. That's all for the writing section. There are other tasks that also contribute to writing that we're going to see coming up in the reading and listening sections. But let's answer some questions here. Good question from, where did it go? Nozan. Did I just lose it? Hold on. Nozan. I missed it. I've lost it. Oh, do we need to in summarize written text, the one where you read the 300 words and then write your single sentence? Question is, do we need to paraphrase? Do we need to change the language from the language in the text there? The answer is, to a degree, yes. You can take single words, important single words, and use them in your sentence. That's fine. Don't copy out any of the, a phrase or half a sentence from the text. Really what you're doing is making your own summary of what is written there. Another question from Nozan. Jay, can you please explain how I can generate ideas for the essay? I know the structure, but I always struggle to think of 2 main ideas to begin with. Maybe you're overthinking it, because the essay questions are going to be pretty straightforward. They're not going to be abstract essays about a specific, subject discipline. You're not going to be writing an essay on biology or, theology or something like that, okay? It's just going to be a pretty straightforward social issue about cigarette smoking or, driverless cars, or things that are pretty straightforward to think about. Are you for it or are you against it? Basically, what you need to do is think, okay, you need to decide. First of all, are you for it or are you against it? Let's say I'm for it. Let's say I'm for people smoking cigarettes in restaurants. I'm just going to be a little bit cheeky here. And so therefore, I now need to come up with 2 arguments why I'm for it. Because it's great to have a cigarette after a meal, like it's enjoyable. Second reason is that the taxes from cigarette sales are good for the local economy. There you go. I've just come up with my 2 ideas. That's it. Those 2 simple ideas then become my paragraphs. And what I do is I take that single idea and I expand it or extrapolate on it. That's it. That's what my essay will be constituted by. Good question though. Nitin has got a good point here. Jay, I'm good with structure, but I always goof up in understanding the question itself. It's absolutely critical that you read and reread the question prompt a number of times. Also, as you're writing your essay, look up and read the question prompt again, just to make sure that you are writing on topic. That's that's something that people overlook. It's very simple, and especially in IELTS. I don't know if you've taken the IELTS test, but a lot of people just read the question prompt once, don't fully understand it, start writing their essay, 30 minutes later look up and go, oh my God, I've written off topic. Worst feeling in the world. And admittedly, I think I did it once. Hardeep, could you please share some sample essays? Well, in the E2 language platform, there are sample responses. So when you write your essay in practice and you click save, it'll actually show you a good sample response. Okay, here's a good question. Jay, because it's an argumentative, this is from Sagrika, because it's an argumentative, persuasive essay, what we're trying to do is convince someone that our side of the argument is correct. Do we need to show the other side of the argument? I think to some degree you should actually mention, at some point in your introduction or in one of your paragraphs, you just simply you need to show the other side of the argument. You could say something like, generally people think that cigarette smoking is bad for you. However, I believe that it has positive benefits for society. And then you're going on to explain why you think that is. Okay, so what I've done is I've mentioned the other side of the argument at the beginning of a sentence, and then I'm going to go in and fight for my side of the argument, my pro-cigarette smoking side of the argument. Okay, there's a question here about complexity of vocabulary. Should we be using really complex vocabulary, really abstract words, less uncommon words? The answer is not really. Most of the words in your essay should be pretty straightforward, okay? Your focus on the essay should be about clarity. You want to be as clear as you can possibly be. You want to be able to hand over your essay to somebody and they'll read it and go, yep, understand what you're writing about here. Well done. You don't want to just purposefully include all this really high-end crazy vocabulary because it sounds fancy, right? Every now and then though, you might think of a word that is very precise in that particular context, that conveys a sense of meaning that is just right, and you'll use that word, okay? But 99%, no, let's not say 99 because that's 1 in 100. Let's say how many words in 100 should be, sophisticated ones. Let's say, I don't know, 5, 8 words should be quite sophisticated, just as a rule of thumb. Now I know people are going to hold me to that. It's not well researched. I just made that up then. Deval, Jay, in the conclusion, do we have to say our opinion? Yes. Try to say your opinion. I believe my opinion is here in the conclusion. Let's have a look. Overall, it is clear that preparing for an English exam online is a superior experience. That's a very clear opinion there. I didn't say in my opinion. I could say that, but I've just said it in other words. Cool, let's push on. Now, if you do require expert help with writing or speaking, like you need some real help, and maybe you don't have much time, what you can do is book a one-on-one tutorial through e2language.com. It's very simple. We have a range of excellent teachers working who you will get to meet. And yeah, it's 45 minutes one-on-one. You pick the topics of your choice. And I think it's the most efficient way to improve. Cool. Let's move on to the reading section, shall we? Let me just check YouTube chat and see if everybody's still cool. If you're watching this on YouTube and you're still cool, just type in still cool. Hopefully you're doing well down there, wherever you are in the world. Okay, there's lots of questions coming in YouTube, but I'm sorry, I'm just going to answer the questions here in the Zoom live class. Again, come across to E2 Language. All right, let's talk about reading and writing fill in the blanks. This is the first task of the reading section, and this is what it looks like. I'm not going to explain this very much. You know what to do. You have to choose one of these words to make the correct meaning in this context. Some of them will be words or phrases testing your grammar. Most of them, however, are going to be words that it's going to test your, how can I say this, your word choice. It's going to test the breadth and the depth of your vocabulary. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this one. Hey, okay. Let's have a look at the answers here. So, first one, recent clinical studies of olive oil have shown. Okay, because we're looking at this noun here, studies have shown. Olive oil has shown is very tempting, but in fact, this is subject verb agreement, and we're actually looking at this studies. This is the verb. The verb hangs off this particular noun here. Ha! Wonder if that got you. That's a tricky one. Be careful of those. Blah, 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 blah. These studies also indicate that eating olive oil can ... So this word semantically or meaningfully is correct. Blah, 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 blah. Olive oil has special properties that play a role in reducing damage to human DNA. Now, you would have only got this by understanding what the whole thing was about. It's about reducing damage. That's what olive oil does. So keep eating your olive oil, people, which is good. Blah, 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 blah. Vegetables and whole grain breads and cereals may reduce your risk of chronic disease development. What was your score? 1, 2, 3, 4. What did you get? What did you get? What did you get? What did you get? Nice. Somebody said, why is it not has shown? Because it's the wrong verb, subject verb agreement. Cool. Most people are getting 4, 3 out of 4. Not bad. You can pop into the chat your score if you like. Oh, hang on. Here come all the scores. Yep. 3 or 4 out of 4 is most people there. Okay, let's move on to this second one. This is reading multiple choice, choose multiple answers. Just bear in mind, by the way, that on test day, it won't tell you the name of the task that you're doing, okay? The screen just changes slightly. So you need to be familiar with how those interfaces look, okay? And I'll tell you why. It's because some of them look really similar. Reading multiple choice, choose multiple answers, reading multiple choice, choose single answer, almost look identical. So just be careful. 2 things, you should know how it looks, and you should also know the sequence of the tasks. That will help you out. Uh-oh, look at this thing. Right, let me talk you through it because it's a lot simpler than it looks. All right, come on, mouse. Whoa, good. Okay, right, on the left-hand side here, we have a passage of up to 300 words. On the right-hand side here, we have statements, okay? Now, the question is, really, do these statements, or does this statement say the same thing as the text? Okay, that's really what you're asking yourself here. Does this say the same thing as this? The problem is, where in the passage is this located? So you've really got 2 tasks. The first task is to find out where in the passage this statement is written. And obviously it's written in different words. Okay, so you're gonna have to scan read. There it is there, for example. Read carefully. Does it say the same thing? Does this say the same thing as this? If the answer is yes, you check it. If the answer is no, you leave it, okay? Cool, I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to have a go at this. What I recommend you do first though, is just speed read the text. Spend 20 seconds speed reading the text and understanding it, or else it's all gonna be gobbledygook. You have 3 minutes. All right. I think that's time up. I should also mention, in the reading section, you have to manage your own time. Okay, you could spend 40 minutes on this particular task, but that would be crazy because then you won't have time to do the rest of them. So you have to manage your own time. You basically have to move efficiently through the tasks, but don't rush through. You do have enough time to have a good look and a good read and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's take a closer look at this one here. I think this task, multiple choice, multiple answers, is the most challenging. Okay, let me take you through it. So again, here we go. In the statement says people who repair computers are in a unique position to make more sales. People who repair computers. So is this just about computer repair salesmen? Let's have a look. Up the top, it says, if you are a computer repair salesman, okay. Second paragraph though says, so if you as a computer repairman or whatever, it wasn't just talking about computer repair salesman. So I would leave that one. I'm not happy with that one. Second statement says there are misconceptions about why people should post content on social media. The passage or the text says you might think of it as losing business. You're probably thinking, how does teaching my customers how to solve their problems for free get me more customers? But the truth is this. And down in the third paragraph, it says something that a lot of you aren't understanding. Let's read sorry, my language is dead today. I'm really sorry. I need to have a sleep. Let's read the statement again. There are misconceptions about why people should post content on social media. I like that. I think there are misconceptions. It looks like there are misconceptions. The author here is talking about misconceptions. I'm going to choose that one. Okay, third statement says you should create marketing materials for social media to make more immediate sales. The passage says you'll get all the sales in the end. It will be better for you in the long run. The passage says you're in it for the long run. You're not doing it just to bait your customer into a quick sale, but I'm going to win the war. Now, is that about making immediate sales? No, they directly contradict each other. So we're going to leave C. That's not a good option. Fourth one says, or the fourth statement says, Facebook videos should be no longer than 30 seconds. Okay, the passage says, put out 30-second videos on Facebook. Does it say anything about not making them longer than 30 seconds? No, it doesn't. Okay, it needs to say the exact same thing, but in different words. I'm not happy with that one. That does not say the same thing in different words. Okay, and now we've got something interesting happening here. Does anyone know I told you. That's it. I'm going to disappear and keep talking from behind the camera. Here we go. What has happened here, which is interesting, is that we've chosen this one here. We haven't chosen these ones here. There will always be at least two. So we can pretty much guarantee that this one's correct now. Okay, let's have a look. By educating people for free on social media, you eventually achieve greater success. And you can see all through the passage here, it's about achieving greater success by educating people for free on social media. So the answers are, in fact, B and E. They are correct. Just be careful, there is negative marking here. So if you did choose, for example, you chose B and you chose C, you'll get 0 because it's 1 minus 1. If you chose B, E, and say this one here, well, it would be 2 minus 1, you'll get 1 point. You can just choose 1 if you like and continue on. Let's have a look at the chat and see how many people got. Yes. Okay, there's a few logicians in here that got my little question there. Someone's asked, are there always 2 answers? Are there always 2 answers that are correct? Not necessarily. There might be 3. Okay, you just don't know. There will always be more than 1. That's all I can tell you. Cool. All right, now we're on to a bit more of a fun one. I find those multiple choice, choose multiple answer ones quite exhausting. They really do require, I just find them tough. I think they're tough. This one I find quite fun. You need to put this jumbled up paragraph into the correct sequence. I'm not going to tell you any more than that. Of course, you can watch the E2 language methods lessons to learn how to do this, and you can practice, you can join our live classes. Let's see how you go. You have 90 seconds. All right. Let's talk about this. Okay, obviously what you're going to, maybe not obviously, what you're going to do is you're going to look at those sentences, right? You're going to see the first is by pushing wind through a circular wand. And you're going to say to yourself, that doesn't make a good first sentence. You're going to look at the second sentence. What exactly happens when you blow on a soap film to make a bubble? That could be a good first sentence. Let's look at C. The other way is by gently. Okay, that would not make a good first sentence. D. Behind this simple question, not a good first sentence because it's using a pronoun that needs a referent, needs something behind it. Or E. In a series of experiments replicating bubble blowing, NYU's Applied Math Lab has discovered 2 ways in which bubbles can be made. Uh-oh, we've got a problem because we've got 2 potential first or topic sentences. We've got B and we've got E. Let's go down the path of E. Imagine that you choose E, okay? Okay, so blah, blah, blah has discovered 2 ways in which bubbles can be made, okay? The first, so we're going to go to A now. The first is by pushing wind through a circular wand with a soap film, which causes a bubble to grow. C, the other way is by gently pushing wind against an already inflated film in order to drive its further growth. Then where do we go? Behind this simple question, or what exactly happened? We've run into a brick wall, okay? We've tried to go the first sentence. We've tried to use E as the first sentence, and we've got 3 sentences which are great. They're following a good sequence, but then all of a sudden it's bang, we can't go any further. So we need to go back and think, okay, what's the good first sentence? And it has to be this one here. Let me disappear. What exactly happens when you blow on a soap film to make a bubble? Behind this simple question about a favorite childhood activity is some real science. In a series of experiments replicating bubble blowing, NYU's Applied Math Lab has discovered 2 ways in which bubbles can be made. The first is by pushing wind through a circular wand with a soap film, which causes a bubble to grow. The other way is by gently pushing wind against an already inflated film in order to drive its further growth. B, D, E, A, C. Who is happy with their answer there? I'm going to how can I allow, sorry. I'm going to turn off the chat so you can only chat with me. There you go. Sorry about that. I can see some people getting frustrated there. Cool. I've turned off the chat so you can only chat with me. Shuchita is very happy. Got it. Nitin is happy. Got it. Amandeep says, thank you. Rohit has some sad faces. Looks like Rohit went B, D, E, A, C. Why are they sad faces? They should be happy faces. Nice. And Deval said, why not B, D, A, C, E? B, D, A, C, E. No, it just doesn't work. Look at this. NYU's Applied Math Lab has discovered 2 ways in which bubbles can be made. The first is by ... Cool. Nice. Well done. I've got a better code for you. Okay, so this is $10 off, but we've actually got a new one at the moment, which is $15 off. And the code, if you do want to sign up to E2 Language and keep yourself busy, do something good while you're in coronavirus lockdown, you can use the code BetterTogether15. BetterTogether15. One word, BetterTogether15 at the payment gateway. It's going to give you $15 off any PT package. Not bad. The express package is $39 US. 39 minus 15 is, I don't know, but you'll find out when you use that code. All right, let's do reading fill in the blanks. Wait, somebody's put in the number here. Have they? No. Cool. All right, let's move on. This task is called reading fill in the blanks. You need to drag and drop the word into the gap to make the correct meaning. Let's have a go at it. I'm going to disappear. You get, oh, no timer. You get 60 seconds. Go. 30 seconds left. Ten seconds left. And stop. That's 60 seconds. These ones should be done relatively quickly. Really, you go, all right, here's what you do. You look at that sentence. Our ancient ancestors had many ways of something with their dead loved ones. Okay. Many ways of ritually, many ways of deaths, many ways of practices, many ways of parting. Bang. Got it. Okay. Parting with their dead loved ones. And what you're doing here is you're making a sort of natural sounding phrase in most instances. You part with a loved one. You part with a loved one. That is the verb that goes with this particular noun. Okay, here is not a collocation. It's just, we're looking at caves, trees, mountaintops. Okay, they're left in caves, left in caves. And thirdly, you had ritually cannibalize. That's a nice little collocation there. You have an adverb with a past participle, ritually cannibalize. All of these practices. And you've actually got two words left there untouched. Cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully you did well. I'm going to keep pushing on because we're now at the 1 hour and 10 minute mark and we haven't even got to the listening section. Wait, where are we up to, Mr. Computer? Reading, multiple choice, choose single answer. This question is a killer. I'm sorry. This is a killer. I wrote this one. Good luck. 2 minutes. Okay. How did you go with this one? It's a real tricky one. Okay, right. Okay, we've got a mix of answers. It is tricky. Keep in mind that when you take PTE, some of the questions are relatively simple and some of them are relatively difficult. There's a range of difficulty levels in each question type. So you're actually going to do, I think you do 5 multiple choice single answers on test day. Let's say 2 of them will be easy, 1 will be medium, and 2 will be hard. Okay. And they have different levels of complexity of vocabulary. Some you'll look at and you go, that's straightforward. It's C. Some you'll look at and you go, oh my God, whoa, head spinning. What am I doing? Try and relax. Read it again very carefully. You have enough time. Let me talk you through this one here. What I'm going to do, just bear with me for a second. I just need to get out my little drawing tool. Actually, you know what? I can't. Forget that. I'm just going to have to talk you through it. I'm going to disappear and I'll talk you through this. So according to the passage, paper transcripts. Okay, so we're reading stuff here about academic transcripts. It's not that relevant. Then we have paper transcripts by post or order in person, paper transcripts. So these two paragraphs here are particularly important. It may take several days for your order to be processed. From the date of your payment, please allow up to 10 working days. Order in person. Paper transcripts from 1990 to present can also be issued immediately at the front counter of the student center. The cost is $40. Another person can collect your fast turnaround transcript, but they must be authorized by you and present photo ID. So according to the passage, paper transcripts can be paid for and collected on the same day. Well, it says here, paper transcripts can also be issued immediately at the front counter of the student center. The cost is $40. Paper transcripts can be paid for and collected on the same day. The answer is A. Okay, they say the same thing. That's cool. We've got A, but what we really want to do now is eliminate B, C, and D to really make sure that we have got A. So paper transcripts are only available for study periods prior to 1990. Well, it says paper transcripts from 1990 to present. Bang, B is wrong. Paper transcripts require you to complete a student authorization form. Well, another person can collect your fast turnaround transcript, but they must be authorized by you and present photo ID. Nothing about a student authorization form, is there? I can't see any student authorization form. Not happy with C. It's a bit of a funny one. I'm not happy. Let's leave it. D, paper transcripts will likely take more than a week to be delivered. Will likely take more than a week. Will likely, probably take more than a week to be delivered. From the date of your payment, please allow up to 10 working days. It doesn't say that. It just says it may take several days for your order to be processed. So really, these ones are ambiguous. They're not quite right. There's something wrong with them. A is correct. Who got A, by the way? Who got A? Because you deserve a pat on the back. Nice. Julian says, I got. Nice. Subani's got a smiley face. Edgar seems pretty happy. Farah's got it too. Nitin went for C. Uh-oh. Okay. Rohit says I'm dead. Not quite. Tricky though, I agree. Okie dokie, let's stop there and I'm going to answer questions on the reading section that you have. What questions do you have about the reading section? By the way, how are we going to get haircuts during coronavirus? It's almost time that I got the scissors out. Should I cut my own hair or should I get my mum to give me a haircut? That is the burning question for me at the moment. And I don't know who's going to... All right, here we go. Abanina says, ask your mum. Claudia says, always get your mum to do it. Abiniana says, I did it for my kid. Javed says, shave your head. Nushad says, just go as Ronaldo. Amandeep's laughing. Maria's saying, shave it off. I'm not getting my mum to cut my hair, honestly. It's not gonna end well for both of us. All right, sorry. Amrit says, for $50, I'll give you a haircut. Burke says, my wife gave me a haircut yesterday. Classic. Sorry. All right, questions. Nozan, I always play it safe for multiple choice and get half of the marks. What do you recommend? Well, with multiple choice, multiple answers, you want to be sort of almost certain or as certain as possible that you've got the two correct answers. If you're uncertain about one, if you're really like, I'm not sure, leave it. If you're certain about one, choose it. Noise. Other questions about reading? Claudia says, I always have problems with multiple choice, multiple answers. Yeah, I think it's just an overwhelming task, isn't it? It's tough because there's a lot of text there, 300 words, and you've got all these statements, right? And so you really do need to understand that passage of text. Then you've got the problem of looking at the statement and finding it within that text. Okay, that's problem one. Once you've done that, you've gone, okay, there's where it says it in different words. Then you move on to problem two, which is Does it say the same thing but in different words? Okay, that's really the crux of it. 2 problems. Where is it in the text? And then does it say the same thing as the text? If you really simplify it for yourself like that, and then start practicing using that sort of methodology, that 2-problem focus, I think it will really help you out. Burke, how can we improve our reading skill? All right, I'm going to now shift just for a little bit, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to have a little detour now. Uh-oh, where's my PowerPoint presentation? Wait. Ah! Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to show you something cool. If you are worried about building your skills, and you've got plenty of time because you're sitting at home, you should check out this website. This is cool. This is a brand new website from E2 Language. It's called E2 School. Check up here. It says e2school.com. It's not test prep. What it is general English language skills, which are fundamental for your test preparation, right? Grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. Let's take a look at the courses here. There's a placement test. There's a pronunciation course. This has artificial intelligence built in, so it'll actually give you feedback on your pronunciation, which is really cool. There's a grammar course if you do need to brush up on your grammar skills. There's a level 0 course if your grandfather wants to study English for the first time, or your little niece or nephew or something like that. There's level 1, which is sort of lower intermediate. There's level 2, which is intermediate. There's level 3, which is upper intermediate. And there's level 4, which is advanced. This one is the one that you guys should be doing. Okay, this is a great course. By the way, 100% free. It's free. The whole thing is free. We've made it free. What this course does very cleverly is it builds your vocabulary by theme. Okay, because one of the problems when you take one of these high stakes tests is you might have to write an essay about education, but you're an engineer. Or you might have to write an essay on the environment, but you're a banker, right? And you don't have any vocabulary for that particular theme. So it builds vocabulary, it builds test taking skills, reading, writing, listening, speaking, vocabulary, grammar, etc. all in that little course there. And it's fun and it's good and you should do it. And as I mentioned, it's free, so why not? By the way, if you could do me a favor, if you want to share this on your Facebook, because it's free for 90 days during COVID, just copy and paste www.e2school.com and tell people, hey, check this out. It's free if you're bored. All right, enough of that. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. Where am I? Come on, Jay, get your stuff together. Here we go. Oops, somebody had something good to say about Test Ready then. The other thing that you might like to do while you're stuck at home is take our mini mock test. It's cool. How much does it cost? I think it's $49. You can take Pearson's mock test. Pearson's mock test will give you a very accurate score. Okay, it'll tell you what score you get in each of the skills. Okay, so it's a nice way to sort of test if you're ready to take PT Academic or not. Ours will give you the score and it will give you comprehensive feedback on all sections, including writing and speaking that's marked by our teachers. Okay, so if you haven't taken PT before and you don't know if you're ready, spend your money on this first because it's a great way to assess whether you're ready or not. If you have taken PT before and you don't know why you didn't get the scores you need, take our mock test. It's going to tell you what you did wrong. All right, enough sales from me. Here we go. This is summarized spoken text. This is the first task of the listening section. It contributes points to both your listening and writing scores. What's going to happen is you're going to hear a lecture or an interview, just like retail lecture. You're going to take notes while you're listening to that lecture or interview. You're then going to turn your notes and your memories into a nicely written summary of between 50 and 70 words. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Let's have a crack. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to play the lecture. You're going to take notes. And then I'm going to give you just 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, just 5 minutes to write your summary. Lecture starts now.
Recently, we've seen the rise of voluntourism. That is tourism which is linked to doing good for the local community of a travel destination. Now, this field tends to attract student volunteers, perhaps best described as amateur humanitarian workers. They join in projects like building, painting, teaching, or sometimes they just make friends with children perceived to be in need. All seems very nice at first glance, but the volunteerism industry is coming under fire lately. Why? Well, a number of reasons. Perhaps the main one is the lack of skills these volunteers sometimes have. They may be there with the best of intentions to alleviate poverty or offer support to vulnerable people, but what can often happen instead is that they end up sort of contributing to patronising or unhelpful ideas about the places they visit. And when children are involved, the inevitable departure of the volunteerist can have a devastating emotional impact. Now, it's not necessarily the volunteer's fault. The very design of these programs is often to blame. But it begs the question, is there a place for volunteerism? Well, I believe yes, but long-term commitment is key. Doctors, engineers, computer scientists, and particular types of educators have important skills and could make more enduring contributions. Recently, we've seen the rise of volunteerism.
Whoa. I'm going to start the timer now.
Recently, we've seen
Hold on.
seen the rise of volunteerism.
Yeah.
That is,
All right, I'm just going to have to give you a time. I'll time you on my phone for 5 minutes. I'm sorry about that little technical hiccup. Your time starts now.
recently we've seen the rise of volunteerism. That is, tourism which is linked to
Sorry. Keep writing your summary. You have 4 minutes left. Two minutes left. Okay, remember that you need to write a summary of between 50 and 70 words. Sorry, there are 2 minutes left now. My apologies. 2 minutes left. 1 minute left. Hey, okay, that's 5 minutes. Now, just bear in mind that on test day you'll get more time than that. You don't get 10 minutes entirely because the lecture is part of the 10 minutes. So if the lecture goes for 1 minute, then you get 9 minutes to write your summary. So I just gave you a lot shorter period of time, but yeah, you'll be writing a summary of between 50 and 70 words into a nice, neat paragraph using a good structure like the E2 language one there. Hopefully it doesn't play again. Yay. Here's an example paragraph or an example summary. The speaker was discussing volunteer tourism. She mentioned how volunteer tourism mainly attracts students, and she described how they participate in projects like building and teaching. She talked about the lack of skills among these volunteers and the problems this can cause. She discussed the impact on children when a volunteer leaves. And finally, she suggested that volunteer tourism programs would be better with longer-term commitment from skilled professionals. Hopefully your summary is about something similar to that. Now I don't have what you're scored on here. Let's talk about scoring for this. You're scored on, it's very much like the essay. You're scored on content, you're scored on grammar, you're scored on vocabulary, you're scored on spelling. I think that's all. Cool. Second task, listening, multiple choice, choose multiple answers. Let's have a look at this. Okay, so one thing that you cannot do cognitively, or I think it is actually impossible to listen and read at the same time because it's using the same part of the brain, right? What I highly recommend you do for this task here is don't put your attention on those answer options. You will get, I think you get like 10 seconds at the start to do a quick read through and go, okay, this is going to be about solar powered cars. You can have a quick read through those answer options. They're probably not going to stick in your memory. As soon as that audio starts playing, turn your eyesight away from those answer options and start listening and taking notes, okay? And just concentrate as much as you possibly can on understanding what is being said, okay? And as you're taking notes, that's going to help to reinforce what's being said. Then when the audio finishes, look up, use your notes and your memory to go through each of those answer options and select the ones that the speaker said, which would be in different words, and leave off the ones that were contradictory or weren't said at all. Okay, let's try this. Try to do it with note taking, not reading and listening at the same time. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
The World Solar Challenge is a race for solar-powered cars covering about 3,000 kilometres from Darwin to Adelaide. The cars competing in the Solar Challenge use solar panels, a bit like you might see on the roofs of houses, and they work by converting sunlight into electricity. The panels are made up of wafer-thin layers of silicon. When sunlight hits a panel, electrons in the silicon move to create an electric current. On a typical solar-powered car, the solar panel can generate about 1,320 watts. That's about the amount of electricity some hairdryers use. So to be able to drive at normal speed on a highway, the cars have to be as small and as light as possible. And then there's the weather. When it's overcast, the cars are reliant on batteries which last less than 4 hours. Installing more batteries would make the car too heavy. All of this science comes at a price too. The cars in the World Solar Challenge cost a lot to build. $150,000 at the cheap end, rising up to a staggering $2 million for the most expensive. But even though we aren't likely to see these solar cars being sold at dealerships, these teams aren't wasting their time and effort. Some of their innovations have already made a difference. For example, special tyres, which were designed to enhance fuel efficiency in solar car racing, are now stocked in shops. While it looks like a lot of fun, there is some serious science, and that's worth celebrating.
Okay, now use your notes and your memory to select the correct answers. If you just want to select one answer, that's also fine. If you're not confident with two. So Marlon, I want you to choose there. You've got a question mark next to E. Are you going to go with E or not? Are you confident or not? Because if E is wrong, you'll get 0. If E is right, you will get 2. Alrighty, let's have a look at the answers here.
The world.
No. Okay, let me go back. Got to fix these PowerPoint slides. All right, so the speaker says that solar-powered cars have been developed with government funding. Nope. Can be surprisingly expensive. Yes. Will soon be a common sight on roads around the world. No. Are likely to drop in price over the next few years. No. Can run on as little power as some small household appliances. Yes. If you chose B and E, you got them correct. Yay, says Simrapal. Amrit says, yeah, got it. Maria says, got it. Nice. It's good to get it. I agree. Well done, Rahil and Faraz and Vaishnavi. And Edgar's got a smiley face, and so it's Francisco. And Amandeep just chose B. That's fine. You got 1 point, not 2. That's cool. All right, let's move on to listening. Fill in the blanks. Okie dokie. This one's straightforward. You just have to, you can write down the word on your piece of paper and then type it in. Or on test day, you can actually type it directly into the blank and use the tab key to move between the spaces. Here we go. Let's do this one. 3, 2, 1.
Many of our native animal species are either threatened or endangered. This is mostly due to human activities such as logging, oil and gas drilling, overgrazing, and urban development, all of which result in habitat destruction and eventually the collapse of local ecosystems. Scientists tell us the best way to protect endangered species is to protect the places where they live. Wildlife must have places to find food, to shelter, and to raise their young. By protecting habitats, entire communities of animals and plants can be maintained. In fact, entire ecosystems can be preserved.
Okay, how did you go there? Make sure you get the spelling correct. Make sure it fits grammatically, and make sure it fits in terms of meaning as well. Let's have a look at the... No, here we go. Activities is the first one. Activities, plural, IES. Destruction, habitat destruction. Shelter, habitats, plural with an S on the end, and preserved. If you did get the grammar wrong or the spelling, like you forgot the S, it would be considered incorrect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Amazing. I just sneezed and nobody heard me because I put it on mute when I sneezed. Wasn't that clever? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How did you go? Let's have a look at the chat. 3 out of 4. Isn't it out of 5? 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. Nice. That's pretty straightforward. I don't think many people really struggle with this particular task. I think it's not that challenging. This one can be. What I suggest you do with multiple choice single answer is you don't necessarily need to take notes for this one. You can if you want. What I suggest you do is you read that question prompt. What is the main difference between the two phones? And you just listen extremely carefully, thinking to yourself, What's the main difference between the two phones? What's the main difference? You're listening for something. You are listening for something. Okay, when it finishes, you would have heard what the main difference between the two phones is. You then go to the answer options, select the one is correct. Don't select the other ones. Here we go. Let's see if you can do it. 3, 2, 1.
The latest iPhone and Samsung Galaxy are just incremental upgrades on their predecessors, though that still makes them some of the best phones available. In features and price, they're certainly two of the top flagship phones of this year. As far as design, both phones look much like their predecessors. The Samsung Galaxy's display are one style, while the iPhone is a round-edged rectangle. The Galaxy screen makes it slightly larger than the 5.8-inch displayed iPhone, if screen size matters to you. Alright, there's really only one comparison here, that camera. The Galaxy opted to stretch its 3 cameras and flash into a rectangular wedge, which looks a bit too angular in an 80s sort of way, but it's arguably more attractive than the camera on the iPhone. That setup looks all kinds of lopsided, and will arguably split phone fans down a love or hate line. But if anyone's winning this beauty contest, it's the Galaxy, by a healthy margin.
How did you go? Hopefully that strategy worked for you. Okay, it's looking pretty... Okay, remember this is multiple choice, single answer. You can only select one. Looking pretty good. It looks like most of you understood when he said something about the cameras. He definitely said, okay, there's only really one comparison here, okay? And that was clearly his signposting to talk about the main difference between the two phones. And he talked about cameras. So let's not choose B, C, D, but it could be the look of the cameras or the performance of the cameras. Now, think back to what he said. He talked about things like it's lopsided and a beauty contest. So what does that indicate? The look or the performance? Correct.
The latest iPhone.
Correctamundo. Let's have a look at this here. All right, there's really only one comparison here, that camera. The Galaxy opted to stretch its 3 cameras in and flash into a rectangular wedge, which looks a bit too angular in an 80s sort of way, but it's arguably more attractive than the camera on the iPhone. That setup looks all kind of lopsided. Blah, 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 blah. The look of the cameras is the main difference between the two phones. Cool. Nice. Hopefully you got that one. That's a, yeah, again, just to reiterate the method there, you just want to read that question prompt, burn that question into your mind and listen for something there. You're listening for something. Cool. I've already talked about how good our tutorials are. Let me move on to highlight correct summary. Have a look at this one. These answer options are way too long. Let's do a little test. I'm going to get you to listen and read at the same time just to prove my point. Ready? I want you to listen and read very carefully. Listen very carefully and read very carefully simultaneously.
When we think about the opposite of work, we many times think it's leisure.
Okay.
And we say...
Stop it right there, because you would have had the experience of going like, uh-oh, I can't do that, because it's your mind's going like, da, 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 da. You're catching a little bit, and then you're not actually listening to what's being said, nor are you reading. So what you need to do with this particular task is get out your pen and paper. You're going to take notes. You're going to listen and take notes. Then you're going to match your notes in your memory to the correct answer option. How weird that we can't listen and read at the same time. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
When we think about the opposite of work, we many times think it's leisure. And we say, I need some leisure time, and so forth. But the fact is that leisure is a very busy thing. We go to play golf and tennis, and we meet people, and we're going for lunch, and we're running late for the movies. It's a very crowded thing that we do. The opposite of work is actually idleness. But very few of us know what to do with idleness. When we look at the way that we distribute our lives in general, we begin to realise that in the periods in which we have a lot of money, we have very little time. And then when we finally have time, we have neither money nor health.
Read carefully. No rush here. All right, almost unanimously, everyone has chosen D. D wins this contest.
When we think
Let's have a look. Yes, so the speaker really said, despite what many of us believe, idleness, not leisure, is the opposite of work. However, today we don't know how to be idle. We are too busy with work or packed leisure schedules. Ironically, we are likely to have enough time when we don't have money or health. I think COVID-19 has made us realize that quite a lot, actually. Interestingly, just be aware that you may get videos throughout PT Academic instead of audio files. In the listening section, you don't need to pay attention to the visual side of the video. Again, you're just listening. All of these ones either contradicted or had information that wasn't in the lecture. Cool, let's do select missing word. This is a tough one, okay? What's going to happen, excuse me, what's going to happen is you're going to hear quite a short little lecture. The final word or the final phrase of that lecture is going to be cut off and replaced by a beep sound. So what you need to do is kind of anticipate what the speaker was going to say based on what the speaker said, right? So you need to listen very carefully. On test day, a helpful hint is that you're going to see the audio bar increase and get near the end. So you're going to know when that beep sound is going to happen. I'll try my best to wiggle my mouse so you can actually see the bar moving across. I want you to listen very carefully. I want you to listen very carefully, okay? Listen very carefully. The only way you can get the correct answer to this one is to listen and understand what is being said right to the end. Let's try it. Most people get this question wrong. Let's see if you guys can get it right. Here we go in 3, 2, 1.
If you don't know what HTML5 is, let me help you understand. It's a programming language, but it's a profound one because for the first time, we're able to construct a web page where the entire thing can have embedded interactivity, can have video, audio, whatever it is that we want. We no longer need flash boxes. And this represents a huge, huge change because it's essentially opened up a new canvas. And it hasn't just opened it up for the New York Times or large corporations. It's opened it up for everybody on WordPress. It's opened it up for musicians and home entrepreneurs because suddenly the ability to produce a differentiated, highly compelling, value-added, maybe even monetizable product.
All right, next to the letter that you choose, can you please put a percentage of how confident you are that you're correct? Okay, so if you're 100% confident, put like whatever, B 99% or A 10% or whatever. Oh, wow, interesting. Okay. Okay. We're going to listen again. Okay, this one's really hard. Please listen again. I'm not going to wiggle the mouse. You know when the beep's coming. Here we go. Please listen carefully. Don't be distracted. Thoughts are going to say, hey, look at me. Have this thought about what's for dinner tonight. Or, hey, look at me. Try to just maintain concentration, especially because you're probably getting fatigued now. This happens in the PTE test. Your blood sugar's dropping, you're actually finding, you want to lie down, you just want to have a sleep, whatever. Try and stay focused. Here we go. Don't pay attention to other thoughts. Concentrate. 3, 2, 1.
If you don't know what HTML5 is, let me help you understand. It's a programming language, but it's a profound one because for the first time, we're able to construct a web page where the entire thing can have embedded interactivity, can have video, audio, whatever it is that we want. We no longer need flash boxes. And this represents a huge, huge change because it's essentially opened up a new canvas. And it hasn't just opened it up for the New York Times or large corporations. It's opened it up for everybody on WordPress. It's opened it up for musicians and home entrepreneurs because suddenly the ability to produce a differentiated, highly compelling, value-added, maybe even monetizable product.
Okay, no. No. Okay, Marlon's got it. Well done. Paolo's got it as well. So it's so funny. Some people are like 100% sure, even though they've got it wrong. But so be it. The answer there is.
If you don't know,
the answer there is there. The ability to blah 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 is there. The ability to create a highly monetizable blah 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 is there. Don't be biased when you look at the answer options. You do not know which one of these is correct by the look of it. Okay, you only know by listening. Anyway, let's have a look what you're saying in the chat. It's quite funny. Shuchita is happy. Okay, Maria says I'm 100% wrong.
if you don't know,
Okay, that's enough. Second last task called highlight incorrect words. This one's an interesting little task. Okay, with this one, you need to use your mouse. Okay, and what you'll be doing is when you see this one, when you see this task and you see a transcript below like this and just an audio player, you need to move your mouse right to the first word. What's going to happen is you're going to hear a lecture, okay? And it's actually going to be the transcript. So the person's going to be saying the first recorded use of wearable glasses, blah, 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 blah. However, a few words are going to differ from what the speaker says. Your job is to click on those words. They'll turn yellow as you're going along. Go all the way to the end. Don't lose your track. Just keep going and click. Now, because you're sitting at home and you're looking at this on your phone or a computer, you can't actually click. What I want you to do is just put your finger on the table and just tap, read very carefully and listen, and just tap where you see the word that differs from what the speaker said. We'll come back and we'll look at the answers. I'm sure you'll remember. Okie dokie, get ready to tap the table. 3, 2, 1.
The first recorded use of wearable glasses occurred in Italy during the 13th century. The lenses were glass blown and set into wooden or leather frames. They were held in front of the face or perched on the nose. Initially used by monks, the glasses grew in popularity, and the technology improved over the next 2 centuries. Artwork remains the best evidence that these glasses existed, as early Renaissance paintings sometimes depict scholars using either handheld frames or perch-style glasses. The first record.
So hopefully you clicked on feather because he said leather. Hopefully you clicked on place because he said perch. Hope you clicked on quality because he said popularity. And hopefully you clicked on people because he said scholars. So there were 4 clicks necessary there. Cool. That's a curious task, that one there. All of you on YouTube, you should sign up to e2language.com. Even if you sign up for free, it's still pretty good. You get some free questions, you get some free classes. It's a good platform to prepare for your PTE. And obviously, as you're probably finding here, it's a much better idea to do your practice now in a low stakes, non-pressured environment. Make mistakes here with me, with our teachers, not on test day. On test day, you have to perform well. So really you're doing your training here. You're lifting your weights, you're doing your sprints, your exercises. Let's do the final task of the entire PTE. And congratulations, I've only lost 11 people so far. So that's pretty good. Still got 89 people in here. And I think there's about 70 people on YouTube. Faraz reckons I should get a cool haircut, a different one. Avi says, can I get recorded videos? Yes, all of our live classes on e2language.com, we have live classes happening twice or 3 times a day, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, twice or 3 times a day, 4 days a week with mock tests every second Friday. Okay, so they're live, taught by our teachers in real time, and there's recordings in case you miss them. Okay, let's do the final one. What's going to happen here is you're going to hear a single sentence. You need to listen very carefully. Then you need to write out the sentence. Now, this is like a problem like listening and reading at the same time. You can't listen and write at the same time the exact, actually, forget that. The tip here is to listen first, listen very carefully, take in the entire sentence. You may even want to try closing your eyes. Really pay attention. Listen to that sentence, then write it out using your memory. Don't take notes here. It's too fast. Ready? In 3, 2, 1.
We solve problems through innovation and hard work.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to get you to listen again. I just want you to listen very carefully. Does she say solve or solved?
We solve problems through innovation and hard work.
Nice. Well done. Most people are getting that.
We solve problems.
Good. Nice. We solve problems through innovation and hard work. Full stop. She actually said solve. It's a tiny little, there's no d sound there. D, d, d. Cool. All right. That's it. I'm looking a little bit funky there when I used to have good hair. Just before you go, thank you for coming along. I hope that was helpful. I hope I hope your experience of COVID and the weird pandemic and global lockdown thing isn't going too badly for you. I hope you're having a good time, or at least hopefully you're focusing on your future, which is just around the corner, and we can get back to normal, the new normal, as they say. Yeah, anyway, I hope you're well. Hope that was helpful. Hope you had a good time. Somebody said before that they appreciate E2 language very much because it's helping them to stay sane as they watch our live classes and just focus on, you know, improving their English, etc. So that's great to hear. I appreciate that very much. Anyway, bon voyage. Thank you. I'll see you soon.